Hi, everybody, and welcome to day 7 of Ivy the Occultist's 12 Days of Yule. And this this prompt is actually one that I was gonna skip because I didn't really know how, I don't know, to proceed, what to talk about. But you know what the cool thing about this whole 12 Days of Yule is when you get so many perspectives, people remind you of things that you're already doing that you didn't connect with what the topic is at hand. And that's been kind of what has happened with me. I've been watching all the connecting with the land things, and I've never thought that I was connected to my land. I like my house. House has got great energy. It's a little too small. I don't like my driveway, and I want to move to a house that has at least one more bedroom so I can have an actual office and studio for my radio shows and stuff. But that being said, our personal land is so tiny that, I mean, it's like, I don't know, according to the realtor.com, it's like 0.17 of an acre. Really not a lot, but we're in the middle of like a little river city here in New York State. So, um, it kind of comes with the territory. But I never really connected with the land per se. But as I was listening to all these videos, it reminded me of some of the things that I actually have done over the years. And I don't get to, I personally, I have like a lot of pain and physical disabilities due to car accidents and stuff like that. So my husband is the gardener. So he is the one that has worked the land. He's the one that plants the flowers. He gets the mums in the fall. He does the gardening and cleaning up and all of that stuff. So and he's really great because if I want like flowers or something like that, like certain type of flowers, he'll go and he'll find it and he'll plant it. So, the flower beds that we do have are full of wildflowers, which I really, really, really love. Now, some of it, because of time crunches, we've, neglected some parts. So like our sage is kind of, I don't know, falling away to the wayside. Our daisy patch is just out of control and they're almost too heavy to to keep their I guess shape. But um but as I thought about my property, and I'll start with my property. There are things on my property that I think I would consider I've connected with. Not necessarily the land, but according to all the other videos, it's not necessarily the land, it's what's on the land, like the trees and the flowers and all of that stuff. And you'd think I would know this, but um on our little property, we have lilac bushes. We have one that's really old. We have rose bushes that are like hundreds of years, or not hundreds, 100 years old. We have planted other lilacs. So now we have white lilacs, pink lilacs, and purple lilacs. Um, there is a flower that I've never been able to place. And maybe this spring I have a new app. Maybe they can tell me what it is. I call it my cotton candy plant. It's these beautiful pink flowers. And from the moment we moved in, I've always felt a connection to that particular plant. So again, not active, not obvious, just something that I've been reflecting on since I've been watching these videos. I also have, this year, especially this year, getting into flowers and getting into herbs, I realized that I have a lot of asters. So I was able to harvest a bunch of asters, and I hope to make a tincture. Um, but that hasn't happened yet. They're still hanging on my wall drying. Um, and the but not and but the one thing, or the two things that I've really connected with on my property is honeysuckle and English ivy. Now, when we moved in, we always have had honeysuckle, but I have just let it grow. And it's absolutely beautiful. And I plan on harvesting some this coming summer. Because the entire front wall turns yellow with these beautiful honeysuckle, and it smells divine. So I have always connected with the honeysuckle on my property, and the English ivy is also we've allowed to overgrow everything, to the point where when we first moved in, it was growing up our house. And because the windows on our front porch were so bad, I just let it grow. And like the whole house was covered. The windows, everything was covered with this beautiful, thick ivy. And it was like our solar shield. It kept the house cool. But the cool thing with that is we also have it's since we took the ivy down, it's come less, but at that time we had hundreds of sparrows that were living in the ivy. That's how thick it was. So they were living in the ivy, and they were just always playing around. And I love my sparrows, and we have forsythias all along the one side of our property, and they're always playing in there. And we still have, like, I don't know, a couple hundred that come and visit and hang out, and we just let them be here, which, again, another way that I'm connecting with my land, but I never really attribute it to the land. But it's been wonderful. And then at the end of the summer, when the ivy flowered, it was just food for bees. And there was just these beautiful honeybees all over the front of the house that, getting their food. And I know I really enjoyed that. We no longer have that, because obviously having that much ivy on the front of your house is not really good for your house. So we did take it down, and we replaced our windows, and so we don't necessarily need them so much. But the one thing about my particular, and I mentioned it before, and I have a little piece. When we were getting our sidewalk, we found out this is what my house is built on, which is granite with pink quartz. And my house is kind of up on a hill, and it doesn't have a very deep soil layer. So this is what I sit on. This is what I live on. And you can kind of see all the beautiful pink in there. And I've been trying to pay attention to the energies of my land because of this, because I'm so connected to gems and crystals and minerals. I thought this was a really good gateway for me. So I hope to connect more with that. And there has been other things. I think, we don't have a lot of wildlife, but we do have a few, and we have a lot of cats, and, nature is nature. And, we, I found a pile. I guess a cat had gotten a bird or something like that. And, not to get morbid, obviously the bird was ripped apart, and I didn't know it. I thought it was a nest at first. It was just, feathers all over leaves and stuff like that, until I saw, like, little pieces. And, I had been bringing fresh flowers into my house to, you know, just to kind of bring that energy. And I have, a couple little altars that I wanted to put them, and I use white flowers and flowers of the seasons and stuff like that. And I just had a fall bouquet that I had to put back in the compost, and there were still some flowers. So what I did, and I guess this would be, I guess the death doula in me. Now, don't worry, this isn't gross. It isn't gross. But I did take 3 of those flowers and put it on top of the pile of leaves that I found. And I made sure there was nothing gross. If you saw any red, that's because that's the flower. That's not anything. But it was just my way of connecting with that particular bird. It's underneath our big giant Norway spruce. And that was my way of connecting just this past week with the animals on my land. It felt good. It really did. Now, outside of my actual land, there are places in New York and there are places in Vermont where my husband and I go twice a year that I really resonate with. Like, I moved to New York because when I drove here to meet a friend, I felt like this was my home. So there are several places around me that mean a lot to me. And, this is, one of the shores of the Hudson River. And this is in a town, the first town that I lived in when I moved to New York. And it always has a very special place. And this is a fall, a dam that is near me. And I've spent a lot of time in that location, just taking in the energy of the water and the land that's at. So, again, I guess I've been connecting with things more so than I thought. But you know, I've also, because I've wanted to connect with the soil. Now, I have a little bit of soil and grass from my property that I have at my front door that is my way of honoring the land spirits. And I've also been able to, I guess, work my green thumb or make it greener because I never really had one before. And I have created my own little succulent garden. Now they look much different now. This is when I first replanted them. I'm struggling with making sure they get enough light. They're still alive, but they're taller. And I don't think my cactus is doing very well. I mean, here in New York, why would a cactus do well? But the one plant that I have really, really connected was, oh, sorry, 2 plants. On my front stairs, this little petunia kept growing all summer long. And every time I walked down my stairs, I would always say, "Hello, Petunia. How are you doing today?" And that was my way of connecting. It was pretty, my husband used to laugh at me because we have a Ring camera. And then every time he saw me walk down the stairs and talk to the Petunia, he would just chuckle to himself because he just, I don't know, maybe I entertain him. And it is sweet when you find a plant spirit that you connect with. My biggest, I guess, plant connection and is I was given back in 2017, I was given a poinsettia. And I had this intention that I was going to make this poinsettia live, because the one thing that bothers me, and this, it goes into I'm an animist, and every year people give these poinsettias as gifts, and they're at the grocery store and they're all over the place, and people treat them like they're throwaway plants. They're perennials. They are not just for the season. And it kind of bothers me also that just to get them red, they have to put them in the dark for 18 hours. And that always bothered me. I felt so bad for the plants. So I took on this this plant. And here we are in 2023, and this is my poinsettia. And she is huge. And you can see my succulents are on the bottom. She's huge and she's beautiful and she's wild, and I love her. And the amazing thing is, I only have one window that can support her. And every year, I get red, and I never, ever put her in the dark. It's her natural cycle. And she starts to get red. I think, well, we have like three leaves right now that are half red, little baby leaves. And so they're going to start to get redder and redder. And by the summer, she's probably going to be half red. And she's lovely. She's absolutely lovely. And then by October, she drops her last red leaf, and then the cycle starts over. And this is a recent photo, so you can't, she's already dropped all of her red flowers, but this is my way of connecting to my land. And even though my land is mostly indoors, I am trying to take the steps to connect to my land in a better way, and to connect to my history in a better way, because I found out recently this year that I'm a daughter of the American Revolution, and I'm an actual blood descendant of George Washington. And I never knew that. And I found out also that a mile from my house where I am, I have a little graveyard with a little tiny church that I've always loved ever since I came here. I've always loved, and apologies if you hear that. My husband just came home and he's closing doors and stuff. So I've always enjoyed that little church because it was so sweet. And it's just a little tiny, like 1700s church with a little cross on it in the middle of a graveyard. And then when I found out that I was a daughter of the American Revolution, at the same time, I found out that that church was the church that George Washington went to when he was in town. And, you know, being in New York, we have a lot of Revolutionary War history here. And that, I don't know, that made me connect more to this region. Now, I came here for a reason. I know, you know, there's a past life connection. I'm not sure how deep that goes, but that is how I've been connecting with my land. It's not specific to the winter. It's not specific to my property. The only thing that I would do in wintertime with my property is, because I'm a night owl, and my favorite time of the year and the time of the day is like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning during a snowstorm in my backyard. There's nothing more peaceful. There's nothing more quiet and still and beautiful, just to hear the snow fall in my backyard with no cars. And where I live, like I said, I'm in a river city here in New York. So I'm on a busy corner, and I don't really get to not hear cars. And it's very cool to sit in my backyard, freezing my butt off at 3:30 in the morning in the middle of a snowstorm. That's pretty much my only time that I've connected to my property in the winter. I love winter. I mean, I may peek out the windows and get all excited, but that's more about the snow, not about the property. But that one thing that I like to do, walk outside my backyard and just stand there for a few moments and just take in the silence, that rare silence that you get when you live in a small city. And it's beautiful. So that is my rambly day 7 of the 12 days of rural 12 days of Yule. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it inspired you. because I've been inspired. So if I can pass that along, that would be amazing to me. So thanks again, Ivy. This has been a wonderful challenge. I'm excited that I've been able to continue to do these every day. I wasn't sure how many I'd be able to do, but here I am, day 7, and I've done 7. So so thank you. And thank you all for watching. And I'm so happy to be part of this community and get to meet all of y'all. And all of y'all, I'm not even from the South. I don't know where that came from. But here, I'm a little loopy. I've had like maybe 4 hours of sleep, so I'm a little tired. So apologies. But yeah, this is the land that I get to work with this year, and I'm very, very excited. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you tomorrow. I haven't even looked at the prompt. I'm not sure how I'm going to come about that, but yeah. So thank you. Bye.